is our first reading session. We are going to be reading Nothing to Do by Douglas Wood. I know during this time it can feel like we have nothing to do while we're at home, but as you take a look at the cover of our book and the back cover of our book, there's so many things they have. Stuff like marbles and tree leaves and puzzle pieces, all those things that we can do to go outside or play games or do a puzzle while we're inside. So I want you to think of some things that you do when you feel like you have nothing to do. So while we're reading our book, I want you to take time and figure out if the activity listed is something you've done. And if it is something you've done, I want you to stand up and jump up and down. And if it's something you haven't done before, I just want you to do a little squat so we can keep our bodies moving. Okay, let's get started into reading our book. Once in a while, along comes a day when there's nothing, absolutely, positively nothing to do. And isn't that great? No school, no homework, no little league, no dance class, no play rehearsal, no soccer practice, no computer camp, no anything. Just a white, empty space on the calendar. Of course, some people get a little worried about these spaces. These people are very nice and wear big shoes, but we'll think about them a little later. But what do you do when there's nothing to do? Well, I have heard stories, wonderful stories, about taking off your shoes and walking through green grass or mud in your bare feet, or making toy ships out of sticks and sailing them across a puddle that somehow seems as wide as an ocean. I've heard about lying on your back and watching clouds turn from dinosaurs into crocodiles, into dragons, into bears, into butterflies, into clouds. Or lying on your stomach watching an ant carry something 3 times bigger than he is, while you wonder, how can he do that? And what do ants eat for breakfast that makes them so strong? I've heard of making a paper airplane do loop-de-loops and barrel rolls in the soft summer air, then land smooth as butter on bread. Or building a fort, a secret place where no one can see you because you can't see them, and surviving for hours on peanut butter sandwiches and lemonade. I've heard about catching fireflies on a warm evening and putting them in a jar until you have 2 hands full of gold and then letting them all go. I've heard of swinging until your toes touch the clouds, or hanging by your knees like a monkey just to find out how monkeys feel. I've heard of climbing a good tree that's been waiting all its long life just to be climbed by you, or finding a quiet spot and reading your favorite book, and then reading it again. Just because it is your favorite. I've heard stories about exploring places that really need to be explored. About making angels in the snow, or building igloos or caves, or sledding, or tasting icicles, or throwing snowballs, or making round, fat men with orange noses and old hats who smile at everyone. Why? I've heard of swimming and building sandcastles and hopscotching and jump roping and running and throwing and bouncing and painting and drawing and playing with toys and puzzles and dolls and games and puppies and kittens and hamsters and gerbils and doing cartwheels and doing somersaults and doing, well, sometimes just doing nothing. And maybe one of the best ways to do nothing is to show someone else how to do it with you. Maybe even someone with big shoes. Just to remind them that sometimes doing nothing is the most important thing in the whole wide world to do. The end. Okay, after reading our book, we have some questions that we would like you all to talk with your family about. So our first question is going to be, why do you think it is important to have time to make choices about your activity? Next we have, why is it important to be physically active every day? Next, how do you use your free time? Last question, of those things, which are physically active? So, for example, an answer for our second question could be, it is important for us to be physically active every day because movement is important for our bodies. So, we would love to hear your responses and we are excited about it. So, thank you all. We have a challenge that we would like you all to try. So, for our book, the illustrator used different patterns in nature for some of the artwork in the book. So she used 8 different patterns in nature, with the first one being explosion, and then we have meandering, branching, alternation, spiral, helix, close packing, and spherical. So what we want you all to do for the challenge is to choose one of our patterns in nature and draw it out. After you draw it out, we would like you to write in or draw your favorite activity to do. So I did my own for an example, and I chose meandering. So I drew out my meandering pattern, and then I wrote in 2 of my favorite activities to do. So my first activity, I love dancing. That's my favorite activity to do for being physically active. And I love eating veggie tacos with lots of salsa. So you can put 2 activities, or if you have a helix, you can draw on mini activities. So show it to your parents or family. Just let us know. I hope you guys have fun with this.